Welcome to this channel. In today's video, we'll be making this beautiful dress on the screen for a child of about 6 to 7 years, depending on the size. We'll be using these sewing tools. We'll be using a pattern paper, scissors, tape, and we'll be using that scuba fabric. It's a cotton scuba fabric. Let's begin the tutorials. Here is the measurement we'll be needing: shoulder, the length of the dress, and the chest. We'll also need the armscye depth for this tutorial. Okay, now we'll begin by marking out 1 inch at the top and roll it out. Where this 1 inch, this point is where we'll begin all our measurements from, just to have a straight line where our measurement can be taken from, and so we'll have like a particular space to keep our allowance. So here I am trying to begin, and we know that the dress looks somehow like an off shoulder. Is actually off the shoulder. So I'll first up I'll mark out my shoulder, whatever my shoulder is, divide it by 2 and mark it out. And thereafter I will mark out my armscye depth. I am offing 2 inches. So my armscye depth is 5.3, but I'll take, yes, it's 5.3, but you can make it smaller than that. Okay, especially if you're not to use a sleeve for it, but I'm to use a sleeve for it. So that's why I just took the 5.3. And this chest measurement is gotten, this armscye depth is gotten from your chest measurement by dividing it by 6 and adding 1.5 to it. Especially if you're using sleeve, you can add the 1.5. If not, you can just leave it plus and just add the 6, and it will still be okay for you. Right now I'm taking the length of the dress. The length of the dress is 26, but I'm going to add up my 1 inch for the bending and allowance, or you can put whatever allowance you deem fit for the dress. You can do that. And here our chest is 26.5. We'll divide it by 4, and then whatever you get, you mark it out. And you can add more, since the dress is not supposed to be a fitted one, it's not supposed to be tight, but the fabric is kind of stretchy. But me, I don't want it tight on the child, so I added a bit to that before dividing by 4. And at the hem, I'm going to mark out how wide I want it to be. I marked out like 9.5 or 10. That's just okay for me. After marking that out, I am joining the points from the hem to the armhole. Afterwards, we are going to impute the armhole, like the curvy area on the armhole. So I'm going to come in by 2. You can come in by 2. So I'll come in by 2 from the shoulder line and join that to the chest line. Afterwards, what we'll do is to connect to our neckline, to make a neckline, and just to know, remember we've already gone down by 2 inches. We offed it by 2 inches, so you can make your neck as low as 1 inch or even 0.5, because it's for a child, so you will not have a very wide neck or low neck, anything that will make it drop down. so much that will reveal the child's chest. And now at the hem, I came up by 2 inches to give it a little curve so that it will not just be kiki. And that's, I blended it to the length, the hem of the dress. So this is what we have. This can be a dress for you if you wish, but for the style, well, I'm coming down by 1 inch, as in I marked 1 inch from the arm sole depth and 2.5 from the 2 inches, sorry, from the center front, just to get the pleats you see there. That's actually the main purpose of this tutorial. That's pleats on it. And you know, there's the center front, there's nothing there, as in it's just plain. The pleat begins 2 inches or more, depending on what you wish, from the center front. And I will roll those lines. They are like two pleats. I'll join the 1 inch I came up by with the 2 inches I've made. Thereafter, I'm going to keep my allowance. Like, I would like to keep like 1.5 inches as my allowance. So that's what I'm doing right now. After doing that, I'll use my ruler and join the points together, and then keep the allowance that will be needed at the armhole and at the neckline as well. I would have to cut it out so that I can be able to handle it before creating the second line that I slash to give it another place. So here it is. I'm going to create the second line right beside the other line. I'll mark out what I'll be needing, but I may not follow it. When I place my ruler, I know where to move around. But to tell you about this, maybe when you're doing your own, I would like you to try, maybe at the hem, take at the width, try to take what it is, how wide it is, and divide it by the number of lines you would like to have. Split you would like to have, like we're splitting it into 3 parts. Try to divide it equally and see how it will look. I think it will look better that way. But this one, I just made it without, you know, it's just a rough, I just made it freehand without like calculating the spaces I will really have. But after slashing it, when I am separating it and trying to add the fullness where I can get the pleats, I will definitely give it, it will be something that will be equal. Like, I'll take like 2 inches in each part and it will be equal on each side. So now I have labeled it and I'll slash open the other part. We have 3 parts. So this is what I'm talking about. You can divide your own equally at the hem, or you can just do it the way I did it and it will be okay. So now what I'll do is I'll try to mark out like that center front. Before laying it down, I would like to mark out 0.5 before sticking it to the fresh pattern paper. I'll mark out 0.5 on that part, and then I'll stick it the way I am doing right now before marking out my 2 inches and laying up the other one. I'm doing that so when it is time for me to cut and join, it will be easy for me. because I wouldn't have to keep allowance on that part because the center front will be separated. So now I'm just seeing what it will look like, and I'll mark out when I bend it, when I'm trying to take the pleat in, and the space between it is 2 inches. So I will stick the other one. Afterwards, I'll bend everything. We'll fold it in and see what it will look like. I'll mark out to bend and then fold it in and then fix in the next one. That's just it. And what I observed is that maybe when you're doing yours too, make the hem a bit wider than that too, so that you have some fullness there more. So now here, I'm trying to bend it in so that we can see what it will look like at the end after sewing it. So I'll bend it in, use the tape it down. That's the good thing about you drafting a pattern. You'll see what it looks like before making the outfit. So now I'll bend it in and we'll see what it will look like before actually cutting and making the dress. So at the hem, I'm trying to join my points because they'll no longer meet up the way it was, since there is fullness in between. So I'm trying to join all the points and I'll fold it in again so that I can see in case there's any deduction in any of them. I'll fill it up before we get to cut the fabric. So we don't really have any problems. That's one good thing about pattern making. You see the outcome and your mistakes even before your dress is made. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Back the way it was. So after pleating it in, it has to meet back for you to know. I'll bend it the way I did the other one and use my pepper tape to put it in place and cut it out and show you how the dress will look. Later on, I'll detach it and we'll cut on the fabric. I'm trying to use that tracing wheel now to just trace it so that in case I cut, I'll follow the traced parts of it so that we'll not have any shortage around there. Okay, now this is what we have. any allowance there. I'm just placing it to see where will be comfortable for me to cut, because here the fabric is kind of wider here, and of course at the hem is wider there, so that's why I'm placing it that way to cut. So I'm keeping my allowance 0.5-inch allowance where we'll join that center front at the top. So I'm keeping 0.5-inch allowance around there, and then we'll just cut it the same way the front is being cut. That's the way I'll place it to cut the back as well. So now I will cut the center front. The center front is on fold, and the other side of it that will be joined to the side front, we'll have to keep 0.5-inch allowance there, because we didn't keep any allowance there initially. Remember to like this video. If you have watched up to this extent, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. And also, I would love you to try making yours wider at the hem. And if you can tag me on Instagram, my handle is on the screen. If you can tag me, I'll be grateful to see what it looks like. And maybe when next I'm trying this again, this same style, what I'll try to do better is to make the lower part of it a bit wider than what I am doing now. As in, when I'm adding fullness to it, I'll try to make the lower parts, I'll try to add more fullness at the lower part, as in at the hem, than up there. Okay, here is the back. I'm trying to keep my allowance at the back, just to have a seam around the back. I wouldn't be needing any zipper, because the neckline is wide enough for the child's head. So there will really be no use for any zipper or button or whatever. But if you love to, you can add all those to yours. Okay, now we're done doing the cutting. I'll head to the sewing machine. Okay, here are all the parts we have cut. I'll be putting them together, and you love to pay attention here, because joining it first, I'll join the front, but I'll show you how to join the back. You would have to mark out the places we added fullness, the places that were bent together when we did the pattern. I'll mark it out, and you'll see how it is being done, so that when you're bending, either you mark it or you notch it, so that when you're keeping your, you're making your pleats, you know where to end and where to begin. So that, and I always remember the allowance you kept. If you kept 2, make sure you mark out that 2. If you kept more than that, but at the midpoint, from that side to the other point is 1 and then 2. So one part, when you're taking one part, know that you are taking in 1 inch, as in you're meeting up 2 inches. I hope you understand. So but just watch me do it now. I'm going to like that's my center front, as in that's my center back. At that point, I'll come up by 0.5, leaving that edge. I wouldn't sew from the beginning. I'll leave 0.5 inches at that point. 0.5, yeah. That point, if you can see, yes, just there. I'll not sew from the beginning. 0.5, because the other parts would be sewn at that point. That's why I'm not beginning from there. And then I'll just sew my 0.5 allowance I kept initially, attaching it the side back to the center back by 0.5. So now I'll be bending it, taking it in. Remember, I'd marked it with my biro so that I can see. I thought you'll be able to see as well with the biro, but I don't think you can see. But the angles will at least tell you where I am moving to. So you first bend, remember the first split. I'm taking it from that 0.5 point we joined, at that, taking it to 0.2, as in 2 inches. The space between is 2 inches. I'll take it to that point, and then I'll use my pin to pin it up. I guess you should just watch it, as in concentrate more on this part. Then you would understand, or when you try it out, I think you get it done. You just figure it out, but just look at it carefully the way I am doing it. So that's my first pleat. Now I am trying to do the second pleat. You bend it in, let the other notch meet the other notch you made. Remember, the space you kept was, the fullness you added was 2 inches. And you would know because it has to meet that upper part. It has to meet the continuation of your armhole. So you just take in everything and make sure the other part meets with the armhole. So after pinning up, I'll now sew it. I've pinned up, and now I'll sew. The allowance I kept is 0.5, so I'll sew at that 0.5 and meet up the straight stitch I did initially. To iron and join the back, the center back to the both sides, the two center backs together, and then we join to the front, and you'll see what it looks like. So I'm done ironing. I had to correct one of the pleats it was bent the other way around, so I just corrected it. And so it's okay, I'm okay with it that way. I'll join those points, and that place sticking out, if you can see, I'll tack it later on with needle and thread. Yes, there, so that it will just lay down. So join it by 0.5, and so initially I felt I'll put a zipper, but I guess there was no use, so I had to sew all through finally. The outcome. I'll bend the neck, bend the hem, tag what I said I'm going to tag, and then that's all about the tutorial. Is what I said I was going to tag. I'll just use a needle and a thread. I'll pick it. You wouldn't see it in front, just to pick a bit, an invisible stitch, and just hold it down. So here is the neckline. I bent it, and now I'll do the hemming. I said I was going to do the tacking. Sorry, I said I was going to tack with my needle and thread. Inside out, so you'll see what it looks like. And I'm also going to put a little bow around the chest to make it look beautiful, add beauty to it. And I'll then I'll tack it, place it on a mannequin so that you see what it looks like. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing as well. And thank you for watching to the end. I would love to see you in my next video. Remember to subscribe. Have a nice day.